I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down? He should calm down.
I saw he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
If Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack.
Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please, just please.
Bombs away from the Bronx Bomber! Wanda! Let's go, baby! Let's go!
I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
I got drunk, man. Are you kidding?
No, you won the fight.
OMG, I am so excited.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, podcast from iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all social media platforms. And hope everyone had a good, holiday out here in the U.S. I know it's not really a day that's celebrated internationally, but Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving out there. Of our MCR listeners and supporters, I really appreciate everyone on Patreon as well. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. But yeah, we're back in it. Obviously, there's a lot to get to today, surprisingly. Like, I almost pushed back the show, Gary, to be honest, because when I was getting the show ready, there was like 2 or 3 topics to talk about. It didn't seem like there was enough to discuss, and then news kept dropping. Joe Miller signing to Jay Prince. Oscar Valdez opponent coming in 11 pounds overweight. Just a lot more to discuss today than just the Manny Pacquiao sweepstakes, which we seem to be in at this stage in time. And also Usyk Chisora, which is a fight that we've talked about for some time now as being the next logical fight, a fight that everyone seems to be talking about within those parties. And it seems to be in negotiations and with in talks for a February date. So a lot to get to today, more so than I previously thought. Plus, obviously, fights coming up tomorrow as well. I think we have 3 sort of televised, streamed cards tomorrow. You have the ESPN Plus card and I think 2 DAZN cards. But digressing, I'm obviously joined on this show by the one and only Gary in Dallas. Gary, what's up, man?
Yeah, all of a sudden, news just started breaking left and right, so we're going to have a lot of topics to get through today.
Yeah.
I had one thought. Boxing is greater than football, so there should be boxing on Thanksgiving instead of football.
Oh, man. That's true. And plus, let's be honest, Thanksgiving sucks. Like, it's just
really overrated. Like, even for an eating day, barbecues and barbecues on 4th of July, way better.
Yes. Hold on. Air horns for Gary there. Okay, because that is an epiphany that I've not even thought of. Barbecues on 4th of July are guaranteed to be better. The food's better. Turkey sucks. That's what it is. Turkey is not a good food, period. Like mashed potatoes, gravy, great. Cranberry sauce, gravy, stuffing, amazing. Mac and cheese, stuff like that, awesome. Some green beans, perfect. But you give me dry-ass turkey, ruins everything. But digressing from that, and plus, having to talk to people you don't like your family, not always the greatest. But I'm here to talk to you, Gary, and talk about things that I do love, which is boxing. So, yes, let's get into it. Obviously, the Manny Pacquiao sweepstakes are going to be something that's going to be talked about, I think, for some while to sort of cut to the end of it. We won't know anything till around, I think, after December 17th is Manny Pacquiao's birthday. And Sean Gibbons, his sort of manager/advisor with Manny Pacquiao Promotions, he has said there's going to be no official decision till after his birthday. But they have given a bunch of names, and that's largely due to now sort of a domino effect of the welterweight division. First, Earl Spence's return has been pushed back to the summertime per himself on Instagram. And not too surprised. I mean, I think the turnaround of not January, but like February, March, April, like that seemed to be quick. Pushing it to July, August is smart. There's no reason to rush him. He's still young in his 20s and coming from a car accident like that. No need to rush him. And on top of that, Mikey Garcia sort of swings back into it. Obviously, we reported, I think, earlier this week from Mike Coppinger about the Jesse Vargas DAZN Matchroom offer. But per Mikey Garcia himself from Miguel Rivera on ESPN, Boxing Scene, and then by way of ESPN Deportes, I believe was this interview. The fight that interests me the most, is a quote from Mike Garcia, in 2020 is the one with Pacquiao. Hearn approached us with the proposal for Jesse. We have not negotiated it, but it is there on the table. The important thing is that there are many options to return in the ring, said Mike Garcia to ESPN Deportes. So that throws Mikey back in, obviously, his name in the hat for Manny Pacquiao. And per Sean Gibbons, Sean Porter and Danny Garcia being a name that was obviously floated with Earl Spence, but since Earl Spence's fight's been pushed back, he's no longer in line for an Earl Spence fight at that sort of timetable. And Danny has a sort of stay busy fight in January that they've been talking about for Fox with the, I think the Caleb Plant fight, or no, the David Benavidez fight, the David Benavidez Vonnie Yerdem fight. And so now we have maybe even a longer sweepstakes or negotiation process for the next Manny Pacquiao fight in late April, which could be either Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, or Mikey Garcia. And Gary, I mean, obviously we have 3 names that Sean Gibbons has thrown out there. 2 of them seem, let's be honest, realistic in Danny Garcia and in Mikey Garcia. Sean Porter seems like maybe too much of an uphill battle for Manny Pacquiao at this point in his career. I don't think it's a realistic option, just like Earl Spence. Let's just be honest about it. But Gary, what do you think is going to happen, and what would you want to happen for Manny Pacquiao? I will give the caveat. Sean Gibbons did mention Floyd Mayweather's name, but he did sort of throw it out there and leave it at that and moved on quickly to more of these names and talked about these names more at length. So I do think that while the Mayweather option is there, it's not as serious as I think some people were thinking a week ago. So, Gary, what are your thoughts on the Mayweather sweepstakes, so to speak?
Okay, first, Mayweather's not coming back to fight Pacquiao. If he fights again, it's going to be another kickboxer or a UFC guy. He's not having a real fight with Pacquiao or any welterweight. Let's just put that out there. Second, I think it's going to be Mikey. I think that's who they want, and I think that's what they're going to get. You know, look, I don't know how much DAZN and Eddie can offer him to fight Jesse, but if you're Garcia, what's a bigger payday and what's a bigger legacy fight? Obviously, you have to fight Pacquiao.
Yes,
so,
even off a loss.
And I obviously think he can win the fight. So there's that. So, I mean, it's going to be Mikey. Unless Mikey doesn't want it, but I think Mikey does, it's going to be Mikey. I think Danny Garcia is their backup plan, and I think that's a fine backup plan. I think we if Mikey doesn't want, that's what we're going to get. But I think
by the way, the backup plan is actually the better fight. Just pointing that out there. Just
I think they're both good fights. I think Pacquiao might lose both of them.
Oh, you could. Yes, I agree with that.
I think if Pacquiao rematched with Keith Thurman, I think Thurman would beat him. I think Thurman got a little behind. The knockout put him behind, and he tried to rally, just came up short. Like there wasn't enough rounds left in the fight for him to win that fight. I think they had fought again, Thurman would beat him.
Hot take from Gary over there. I like it. I like these hot takes.
It's just like I guess. Do you think Spence and Danny's going to happen in the summer, say July or August?
That's what I'm thinking. I think Danny gets the tune-up in January, and who knows who that is, right? The showcase fight that quote from I think it was Keith Idek or I forget exactly. I know Jake Donovan quotes it as a showcase fight. I know that was a direct quote. I think from Angel Garcia in an interview with someone, and I think whoever that is, Danny gets by because Danny's good enough to get by against the bottom half of the top 10 or top 15, top 20 guys. He's good enough. I think people give Danny a lot of shade when it's not really deserved, to be honest. I just think he's not the best guy in the division.
Don't fight Ugas.
I still think he could beat Ugas, though. But I think that's a tough fight, though. That's not a showcase fight, to be honest. He takes someone of lesser note, let's be honest. We're in for probably more of a Rod Salka type name. Let's be real. I would not be surprised to see a lightweight or a junior welterweight be moved up for this fight, to be quite honest. Some, club fighter that's usually fought in those weight classes. Just being completely real with the January showcase fight, which is going to be shit. But I do think that he's just waiting for the Earl Spence fight. Now, to your point, I do think he is the backup to Mikey. And if they can get the Mayweather fight, they would, because that's a lot of money. But like you said, I don't think Mayweather is serious about boxing again at the highest level in 2020. I think he's absolutely looking for another big paycheck in an exhibition-style matchup, whatever that may be. Or it's another advertising, grift like he did with Paddy Power when he got the MMA gloves, win the cage. It's either one of those. Who knows? But again, digressing to the point, I think Pacquiao, Mikey Garcia is the likely fight. It's one that Mikey clearly wants, right? And for whatever reason, Mikey seems to be a guy that just takes a while to negotiate with. I wouldn't say he's difficult, right? I wouldn't go that far, but he's definitely a guy that takes his time in between fights to negotiate that fight. And Pacquiao's the same way. So I would not be surprised to take another month here, guys, of speculation till we get that official announcement for an April Fox pay-per-view of Manny Pacquiao versus Mike Garcia, which are going to do over 400,000 buys. Right, Gary? As you fix your camera.
Absolutely. It'll do minimum 400. I don't know.
Quickly. Hassan at the chat with the great showcase fight, which I know you're going to either hate or love. Danny Garcia versus Omar Figueroa. Ooh.
I mean,
Hassan, I love it. I love it.
If Omar takes that fight without a tune-up fight, he's taking it for one reason: the money. I mean, he's not going to win that fight. I mean, he lost every round basically. He did lose every. I mean, I know there was 1 point deduction from Ugas, but he lost every round to Ugas. Danny and Ugas are pretty similar, right? He's going to lose every round to Garcia. Garcia's a bigger puncher. He'll probably get knocked out. So, I mean, I don't know how you're going to go into that fight without changing anything. If you take that fight, it's for one reason, the money. If that's what he wants to do, take your money and leave.
Hey, be the Fernando Vargas, like be the diet version of Fernando Vargas where you just took a bunch of fights that maybe if you prolonged your career better, you may have had more wins, but Omar Figueroa is not that guy. Let's be honest.
Yeah. He was that guy at 35 that it was like Bam Bam Rios. Bam Bam Rios at 35 was really good.
Had a run.
And stronger than everybody else. Once he moved up to 47 and everyone was the same size as him, I mean, there was nothing else there, right? I kind of feel like that's where Omar Figueroa is. At 35, he could bully people. He was bigger and stronger. With that work rate, he could just overwhelm people. At 47, you don't have that advantage anymore. Although he did blow away Guerrero, and no one else stopped Guerrero. So, but that's years ago now. That was probably 3 years ago now.
Yeah, that is a while ago. But most guys that are of that nature, that like super aggressive nature, they do have a very short run, so to speak, where they get some wins. They have a run of notable victories, but usually that run comes with a bunch of wins and losses following it in concert. And similar to like Ruslan Provodnikov, he had a run, and then it was win loss till you retired, and that's usually how it is for those guys. But digressing, I think we're both in agreement here that we get a Pacquiao Mikey Garcia fight next, and Danny takes a tune-up style fight, which Omar I think would be a decent fight, to be honest. I don't think that's really a tune-up to be. It's better than Granados, I would say, in terms of credibility.
Credibility maybe, but if they fought next, if Omar fought Granados next, who would you pick?
Probably Omar, to be honest.
I'd probably pick Granados.
Really?
Omar, awful. He barely beat Molina, and then he looked. I mean, I thought the Ugas fight was even worse than the John Molina fight. That's my favorite fighter. One of my top 10 favorite fighters ever. I'm just being honest. He looked trash. He looked good to you?
No, he didn't. But I think Ugas is one of those guys that is sneakily good. He's a guy that is really basic in what he does, but he is a guy that is efficient in what he wants to accomplish. He just doesn't want to accomplish a lot in terms of a varied game plan. Plus, he's a legitimate giant welterweight. Omar is a lightweight that moved up because he, I think, wasn't dedicated to training at all.
Which is crazy. His sister is a workout fiend. Brandon's obviously a monster in the gym, and Omar just doesn't really seem to care. You talk about fighters who had their runs. He didn't really have a run, right? He had a couple of good wins, and then he was highly inactive. He beat Burns, he beat DeMarco, and he beat Guerrero. And Guerrero came off a long layoff too. And then he had wins over Abner Cotto and I don't even remember. Jerry Belamontes. That's who he won his title against. I mean, it's Byrne, DeMarco, and Guerrero. Those are his names.
Yeah.
And it was inactivity. He should fight Broner. That's what the fight. The two underachievers should fight each other.
Who would he pick in that fight?
I gotta take my boy in that one.
You take Omar?
Yeah.
Just because you throw punches, right?
Yeah.
Digressing though, I think we're all in agreement. Even I think fans this seems to be really the few things that all boxing fans have are in agreement here of where the welterweight division goes. But I do want to add this aspect to it because obviously you have the Terrence Crawford, other side of the street that's doing whatever it's doing over there, circling the drain. But Bob Arum was on Sirius XM radio. I forget which boxing show, but by way of Michael Benson, Bob Arum has divulged that during his June meeting with Al Heyman for Wilder Fury 2, he also raised Spence versus Crawford. He said Heyman told him they'd, quote, definitely, end quote, make it in 2020. However, this was before Spence's car crash, which has derailed these plans. So it seems like we're going to get Manny Pacquiao versus Mike Garcia first half of 2020. And they're not going to fight again until maybe the last quarter of 2020. Just because they're going to make a lot of money. Danny's fighting a tune-up in January. Then probably going to fight Spence in the summertime. Crawford is fighting his mandatory in just a week or so. And no one cares about that fight, let's be honest. Where does Crawford go next this year, in your mind, Gary? Because per Bob Arum, there was a pseudo deal and agreement, in a sense, between him and Al Heyman that fight was going to happen, Spence Crawford, in 2020. Now the plans have obviously been shifted drastically, at least 6 months, because of the Spence car crash. What does Crawford do in the meantime? I mean, obviously, I think they planned for one fight in between. What was that one fight going to be? What do you think that one fight is? But now there has to be another fight probably this year. So Crawford's not going to fight him in 2020. He's going to fight him in 2021. So what are the two fights he gets next year?
There's no more fights for him to take, right? Unless you throw him a Virgil Ortiz or one of the prospects, Enos or something. But those guys aren't. They're both good, and I mean, it's rough. The only
Rashidi Ellis, name some of those prospects that are just untested. Yeah.
The only upside is if you lose, it's not that big a deal because you lost to the best fighter in the world, arguably, right? So it's not like you lost to a middling champion who's barely top 5. You lost to the man, right? So it's not that big of a loss if you lose. But outside of me, who wants to see him fight Virgil Ortiz?
I mean, I would see it, obviously, because I now care about Virgil Ortiz's career because it's tied to making fun of you in some way. But, no, I mean, of course, that's not a fight for the wider audience. It's a decent fight, though. I will say that. It's not a bad fight. That's better than Kavaliauskas.
It's better than Kavaliauskas, but you can get by on Kavaliauskas. It's my mandatory. I have to fight him. So, you want to know what I think it's going to be next? Josh Kelly. I think it's going to be Josh Kelly. That's what I think it's going to be.
I'll take Kavaliauskas too. Give me the rematch.
You want to overpay it? It's not going to be Lipinets because Lipinets is too damn tough, right? And it's not going to be Lipinets. He already lost to Mikey.
I don't know. Why wouldn't he? He took Felix Diaz when Felix Diaz was that tough PBC B name that wasn't getting the good fights because he had the draw with Lamont Peterson that everyone thought he won. Crawford does have a minor history of taking on that PBC name that no one really wants to fight.
I was thinking maybe Ugas, right? They could bring Ugas over.
That too, yeah. Lipinets Ugas are the fights to make, obviously.
I think he stops Ugas. I don't think he stops Lipinets. I think he wins, but it's not a fight he's gonna. Maybe he can show off his skill. I don't know. His stock doesn't go up in any way, shape, or form after the Lipinets fight. He's not that guy who you're gonna blow out there.
Well, let's be honest. His stock doesn't go up at all unless he beats one of those top 4 or 5 names.
Which is what I want to say. I still don't know, right? We're guessing that Spence is going to fight Danny in August or July in the summer.
Yes.
What if he takes a mandatory then or takes a tune-up and then fights Spence at the end and then fights Crawford at the end of the year?
Instead of Danny and just bypasses Danny? I don't think they do that.
I don't.
No, they don't do that. I guarantee you Earl Spence does not fight Terrence Crawford till he beats at least the majority of those PBC names.
You got Pacquiao, who I really don't think Pacquiao is going to fight Spence.
No, he's not.
Okay, so then you have Danny and Keith.
Keith's on a injury man, but good thing he is. I know Gary has the worry of anytime that Keith Thurman gets injured, but he's done a lot of press still been highly active with the, what's it called, the PBC, Inside PBC show? Right?
Yeah.
He's really active on that. So that's a good sign. I think Keith Thurman still wants to fight. Don't worry, Gary. But he's not going to be ready probably for a fight. Or I think he probably wants a couple tune-ups. He just had a loss to Manny Pacquiao. But, I mean, who knows? I mean, that's the thing. Regardless, I think he's looking for Danny Garcia because that's a easy style matchup possibly for an Earl Spence.
Let me ask you a question. If they offer Thurman a Pacquiao rematch in January, February, March, whatever, Pacquiao wants to come back, do you think Thurman's still injured, or do you think he'll man up and fight through that injury?
No, I think he would get on his high horse and be like, no, push that back.
Okay.
Thurman has that self-pride being around him. Like he.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I would say is let's have those guys rematch. Let's get Danny versus Thurman again. And then the winner fights Spence. Right? Like, why have Danny fight or have Danny versus Porter again? Like, they were all good enough fights where we can do it again. No one's going to object to it. And then the winner gets Spence. But I really want to see Danny versus Thurman because I think Danny had his best fight against Granados at 147. Like, that's the best he looked at 47. And I thought Thurman beat him, but beat him clearly. But I thought Danny figured things out in the second half of that fight. And the second half of the fight was even or maybe slightly in favor of Danny.
Wait. In the Thurman fight?
In the Thurman fight. I thought Thurman won all the early rounds and Danny did things better. No, he didn't win. He didn't win enough rounds.
No, I just think that's the inverse. I haven't seen the fight in a long time, though. I'll be honest.
I thought Danny lost like the first 4 rounds wide.
From what I remember in the fight, because remember, I saw it live, so that means I was a little bit inebriated because I just saw it as a fan. And I think I only watched it that one time, to be honest. It wasn't like it was the best fight ever. But I want to say Danny won, or at least was more competitive in the early rounds because Thurman was trying to engage more on the inside, and he wasn't finding any success. And then he started getting on his bike and boxing more in the second half and started, I think, getting more of a wider margin in terms of just efficiency. Like, I remember that version of the fight where Thurman was trying to force a more of a brawl with Danny, and it wasn't working for him. He then adjusted in round 4, 5, 6. But again, could be wrong.
I'll go back and watch it because it's like it was competitive enough. It wasn't a great fight, but it was good.
That was good.
It's like all 3 of those guys, Porter, Danny, and Keith. Let them rematch again. You may get a different outcome, or if you get the same outcome, if Keith beats them both again, then you know the pecking order. Keith is better than those guys.
I just think in the actual world, if that were to happen, if we get Danny versus Keith first before Danny versus Earl, then that only means Earl's recovery is going to be longer than expected. Not in terms of time away from the sport, but maybe just he wants more tune-ups, more get back fights because of that injury, because of just the experience of the car crash, because he still will want to fight all these guys. Like when Tim Smith and all these PBC officials, so to speak, are out there saying that, and Bill Wagner or Wanger from Fox is saying the same thing, that no, Earl's going to fight all the PBC guys first. Why not? Those are all big fights. Those are all massive fights. So they're going to try to make Earl versus Danny, Earl versus Manny, Earl versus Keith, all before we get Earl versus, I think, Terrence Crawford. Now, luckily, air quotes, on our side, for like more objective fans that just want the Spence Crawford fight as fast as possible, Manny's not going to take the fight. And I think Keith's timetable is going to be completely off. And so, therefore, hopefully, Earl goes straight to a Danny fight in August, July, and then takes another 6 months and fights Crawford in the first quarter of 2021. And similar to what they want to do with Wilder Fury, feed off of the ESPN and Fox Super Bowl push in that time frame. That's what I think they're going to try to do. That's what I would do.
So you think he's going to fight Danny and Keith before he gets
No. He's going to fight Danny in August or July. He's going to wait 6 months and fight Crawford in February or around that time and get that ESPN Fox push like they're trying to do with Wilder Fury. Wilder Fury 2 is a test run in a lot of ways for a Spence Crawford fight the next year.
So the Super Bowl the following Super Bowl is when you think
Yes,
that's possible. I mean, this is getting like Pacquiao Mayweather now. It's like, can we just make this fight? But like that's probably reasonable. I want to. If Spence is going to fight a true tune-up in the summer,
I don't think he will though. But if he does, it pushes the timetable back completely. Then I don't know. We're talking about maybe Spence Crawford summertime of 2021, late 2021. We're talking about we're talking about almost 2 years down the line, more so than a year and a half.
Why doesn't Crawford just step in and Top Rank step in and offer Danny a big fat contract or Keith a big fat contract?
They've tried with Danny. I mean, there have been offers to Danny. I know there was an official offer to Danny before the Khan fight. I don't know if there was an official offer sent post Amir Khan, but I do know there were feelers put out after Amir Khan fight. But nothing has really been reciprocated from the Danny Garcia side. I think Heyman, from what I understand, Heyman has been completely okay with the fight. It's been Danny Garcia's side that has pushed back on the idea of a Terrence Crawford fight.
Do they think they match up better with Spence?
Yeah. Which I understand, to be honest. I get why they think that. I do as well. I think Danny has a much easier time and much easier game plan, naturally speaking, against an Errol Spence than a Terrence Crawford.
I don't know. I mean, what would be his advantage against Spence?
Spence is far more of a guy that wants to exchange on the inside. So therefore, Danny, who is a guy that doesn't have the best footwork, is a guy that naturally is a pocket puncher, is a guy that wants to sit in the pocket and just roll shots and then fire back. Spence is going to oblige that sort of style more in a way than Crawford is. Crawford's going to be on his Victor Postal bike instantaneously because that's what he is. He's a boxer. He's going to look at that Keith Thurman tape and say, oh, this is how you beat him. Or even the Sean Porter tape, because Sean Porter at times was circling around Danny and was quite effective in just pure footwork and lateral movement. Terrence Crawford's lateral movement is by far and away better than Errol Spence. Spence is not bad. I mean, we've obviously seen the Mikey Garcia fight. Spence is not a bad lateral mover at all. He's very much a complete fighter. But Crawford's more of a specialist when it comes to defensive lateral movement than Errol Spence. I think that's just a clear fact. And I see Danny naturally having easier time with Earl than with Terrence, to be quite honest.
He matches up terribly against Crawford. That's a terrible fight for him. But like, he doesn't beat. I don't know.
I'm not saying he beats Earl Spence. I'm not saying he beats Earl Spence. I'm just saying it's an easier fight than the Terrence Crawford fight.
Victory for him? Is there any way you can see Danny? Maybe. I mean, look, Danny picks his power shots really well. Like, he really does. His left hook and his right hand, he knows when to set it up and he knows how to throw it. I don't know. I mean, I can't see him outboxing Spence, but I mean, maybe he can hurt him. Danny is a big puncher. He is. I mean, he's got some great knockouts.
I will say this. I think Danny's obviously not to the same degree. You know, it's not a one-to-one analog at all. But, Deontay Wilder does not care about winning rounds. Danny Garcia doesn't really care about winning rounds. You can tell that most of the time. He's looking for the knockout a lot. And with Earl, he has a higher chance of getting a knockout than with Terrence Crawford.
Yeah, with Crawford, it's 0%. There's a 0% chance he can knock out. I'm just saying. It's like, what's the chance that De La Hoya in his prime was going to knock out Pernell Whitaker? 0. And he was knocking everyone else at the time. He's not going to knock out that guy. He's not going to knock out Crawford. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was the chance that Reggie Johnson was going to knock out Roy Jones Jr.? 0. And it's not that those guys are bad fighters. They're really good fighters. They're just not going to knock out the best guy in the sport. Right? Like, Charlo can punch. What's the odds of Charlo knocking out Canelo? 0.
Yeah, not high, no.
He couldn't get rid of Cannon Adams.
Yeah, it's not high. No, it's 0.
Fighter right there. I'm not saying he's not. Canelo is so hard to hit, especially with clean power shots. Like Charlo geared up. Like, he tried to get the knockout. It was in Houston. He tried to get the knockout for his hometown fans. He just couldn't do it. Right? So, like, He did. He tried to get rid of Adams. He loaded up. He was trying to get rid of him. He just couldn't hit him cleanly.
By the way, Igloo in the chat with the super chat. Thank you, Igloo, longtime listener, and just a good guy. You know, I met him twice. Igloo, obviously, I met you in Miami that one time, but I feel like we met again another time. Maybe I'm wrong. Saying I like the passion, Gary, and then he has some disagreements though. He's saying you have to be crazy if you think that Spence is not going to take a tune-up before Danny. I think that's possible, but Earl Spence is one of those guys. Like, I don't know. Like, he has had a really fast career in terms of fighting top names with really little tune-ups in between. Even in his come-up, he was fighting like good opposition. So I don't know about that. And Igloo saying Crawford gets hit. Do you not see the Lundy fight, for example? Ooh. Gary, you muted. There you go.
I don't remember the Lundy. I saw the Lundy fight. I know he stopped. I don't remember the Lundy fight. That has no place stored in my memory. Did he get hit? Did he get hit?
I don't remember that fight, to be honest. I just remember him like really beating up on Lundy as the fight wore on because Lundy was talking a lot of shit, as Lundy does. You know, Lundy's known for doing that.
Lundy's a decent boxer, though, right? Like we trash on Lundy, but he was pretty good boxer. He was skilled. He had quick reflexes. He just wasn't good enough at the next level.
Yeah, it's like Thomas Dolomier. Thomas Dolomier arguably beat Jesse Vargas and Ordonis Ugas. You can make that argument. Like, he's one of those guys that's like sneakily good.
Well, we could get that. We could get Crawford Dolomier Part 2.
No, let's not do that. No, stop. Igloo coming in there with the steel chair saying chance of Charlo sparking Canelo is not 0. What kind of Texas boy are you? What a disgrace.
I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong.
Man, he's just looked really bad lately.
Who said that?
The Igloo said that.
Okay. I hope Igloo is right, but explain to me, Igloo, how you can't knock out Brandon Adams when you're gunning for the knockout, but then you're going to knock out Canelo Alvarez.
You know, it's 1%, Gary, okay? It's not 0. It's not getting hyperbolic here.
It's not one. It's a fraction of 1%, right? Because 1% is far too high.
Damn, Gary.
That's my guy. But I can't ride with him. Paulo is my favorite fighter in boxing today.
He's fighting a blown-up junior middleweight named Hulk Hogan.
He's the fighter. He fights who they put in front of him. But what I'm saying, like, let's be real. Canelo is so hard to hit with clean shots. I mean, Canelo, Triple G didn't hurt him in 2 fights. I mean, like, Charlo's not going to knock him out.
No, he's not. He's not. Kovalev couldn't. Triple G couldn't. No, and I like Charlo. I think he's one of the best. I think he could beat Andrade, for example, right?
Okay.
I don't think he does necessarily, but I think he could at this point in time. I mean, the pendulum has been swinging against Charlo for a while now in terms of what I think about him because he has just not looked great. But he's still a top 6, 7 middleweight.
I mean, are you still putting Canelo as a middleweight?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I have to put my rankings on MCR.com or whatever or MixSummitRadio.com, I'm ranking him as a middleweight.
Okay, and Jacobs is done now, right? Jacobs is at a 160.
Yeah, he's officially moved up. See, with Canelo, he might be headhunting, but I don't view that as him officially at 175. If he officially moved up to 175, then I would rank him there.
Do you think he could beat Triple G?
Charlo?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Igloo with the big super chat. Thank you. Seriously appreciate that, man. You have no idea.
Let's just make let's make Charlo versus G or Charlo versus Derevyanchenko. Let's just make one. Derevyanchenko deserves one last time. I know he's 0 for 2, but he beat Triple G.
He did.
Let's be real. So let's give him a title shot. Let him fight Charlo.
I agree with that completely because he did beat Triple G. That might be my robbery of the year. Like at the end, when it hits December 31st, that's gonna be number 1 on my list probably. To be honest.
Yeah, versus Hulk Hogan was early this year, was it? Not it was like January, February.
I gotta watch that fight again.
I'm pretty sure that's the robbery of the year. That was ridiculous. Although Triple G was pretty bad.
Was that this year? God, who knows? Munguia's fighting people that we've never heard of for 2 years now. Moving on, though, let's talk about a fighter that we love here at MCR. A fighter that I think has...
Oh, wait, that's going to happen at some point, too. Munguia versus Charlo at 160 in Texas, either Houston or San Antonio. Yeah. That's going to happen at some point.
Well, and obviously you see Oscar, like, begging to be back working with PBC. Like, it doesn't say in the right way because it's Oscar De La Hoya. But there's a reason he keeps mentioning Spence, Wilder, all these PBC names. He misses them. He misses that money, all that work. So let's just be honest about it. But moving on, let's go to Gary. Mute yourself when I'm talking, please.
Oh.
Yeah, the feedback's really bad lately, man. We got to fix that. Maybe we'll take like a halfway break and then go to like a different system. But nah, probably won't. I'm too lazy. Let's go to... This was I think it was, let me get it right here. The press conference for the Monte Carlo card. I think it was yesterday. Yes, it was yesterday. Or was it yesterday or was it today? Hold on. Yes, it was yesterday. Sorry about that. And a little bit of news coming from it. First, let's go to the Usyk Chisora news from Eddie Hearn, which is a confirmation of what we've always known.
Just backstage there talking to Usyk, trying to get this Chisora fight over the line for February. That's a big fight, a big heavyweight fight. Just backstage there talking.
So Eddie Hearn speaking to Matchroom, obviously, his own brand on their own live stream, and saying that he's speaking to Usyk in the back, trying to get a Chisora fight over for February. Gary, thoughts on obviously Usyk Chisora in negotiations for a February date? Do we think we just get it? Like, do we think that's just like it's a inevitability at this point that we get that matchup?
Eddie, yeah, I do. Eddie said back in after the Witherspoon fight that he had a February 29th date set in Chicago. So I think that's what it's going to be. I think he's going to fight again in Chicago, and it's going to be
Usyk Chisora.
Usyk Chisora.
You don't think they go to the UK?
I mean, then he's got to put something else. He's got, I guess, maybe try Triple G there in February. I don't know, but he said that he had the same venue.
Well, no, they did speak about that. Remember, Triple G is supposed to fight his mandatory Zemarata. Remember that guy that was on the undercard?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they are planning a Triple G, Chicago fight. It's quite possible we get a Usyk Chisora like London 02 card in March, let's say, or something like that. Or again, February is what they've been talking about.
Form, it would be pay-per-view over in the UK. Yeah, go do that. I think that's a better fit for both guys.
Yeah, and then you can still get your Chicago card with Triple G, even though that card probably won't be the deepest because it's going to be Triple G versus Zemarata. Triple G should bring out enough Eastern Europeans for ticket sales in Chicago that you don't worry about it if you're Matchroom, even though that card's going to be probably trash.
I have to give my son a shout out too. It'll be his first birthday on February 29th, Leap Day. So he'll be 4, but it's his first birthday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I had a family friend who recently passed away who was like that. So, like, I remember when we got to, like, his 16th birthday. Like, it was a big thing. It was Sweet 16, but the guy is, 40-something, like, however old he was, right? 50 or whatever, however old he was. Shit was hilarious. We planned out, like, a high school themed party. It was really funny, but digressing from that. Also, from this press conference, Cecilia Brækhus was interviewed, and she had an interesting name to drop in terms of who she wants to fight next. Let's listen to what Cecilia Brækhus has to say.
Fight, but I'm definitely here to make a statement and hopefully go for the big prize next year.
Which is, in your
Katie
opinion,
Taylor.
Katie
That is a fight you've got your eyes on, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that that's the main goal.
I'm not too surprised. Obviously, she's fighting on Matchroom card in a way, in the Monaco card. She's European. A Katie Taylor fight makes a lot more sense demographically to have that fight. Do you think it, because when I heard this, I initially thought, what about Claressa Shields? Would that make her more money? And so I was wondering, Gary, do you think Katie Taylor makes Cecilia Brækhus more money than any other fight in women's boxing right now?
Well, it's one of two names, right?
Right. It's either her or Shields, I would say. And it's two different completely different markets.
I honestly, I think that Eddie and Matchroom just do women's boxing better.
I agree.
So I think this is the better option for her. I mean, I don't know which ones. I would say both checks are going to be comparable, but I think it's going to be done better. It's going to headline the card. They're going to promote it better. I just think this is probably the better option for her. And I think it's a fight she can win.
I wonder if they make it for that, because we know that DAZN wanted to have an all-female card, right, in the U.S., have Katie Taylor on it. I think they wanted Heather Hardy on it as well, and some other names. Do we end up getting a Katie Taylor Brackus fight in the U.S.? Do we think that DAZN sort of forces that hand and makes that all women's boxing card? Or do we get separate cards where we get maybe Serrano versus Taylor in that all women's card in the U.S., and then later on the year, summertime, fall time, we get that UK showdown with Brackus and Taylor?
So my concern, or my question really is the American boxing audience ready for that? Like, is it going to sell to them? And if so, where would you put it?
I think you don't try to oversell it in terms of like putting in a venue it probably can't fill out. So you'd probably do the small theater at MSG. I would imagine that. Try to go for the 4,000 to 5,000 stretch, because you're going to bring in a UK crowd. You have the Puerto Rican crowd with maybe if it's a Serrano fight, for example. I think you could do decent in the small theater. Absolutely. And if, let's say, you filled out with, let's say, good like local talent, maybe a Heather Hardy as well, and let's say a co-main event, it obviously is going to sell tickets. It just
if
is.
You put Serrano and Heather Hardy in it, I think you'll draw the New York base. Katie Taylor will bring people over from Ireland and the UK. I think that's probably your best bet. I would do that. I think, and I know it's the small building, but it's still Madison Square Garden, right? So it's still the mecca of boxing. It's still New York City. I'd do that. That's probably the right place to put it. That means Eddie will put it in Mulvane, Kansas. Miami.
God. Don't get me started on that. But they're going to sell it all on the idea of like, oh, it's in the built-up theater for the Super Bowl that they do for all the concerts. No one gives a shit. Stop, Eddie. Stop with the salesmanship here. But moving on, speaking of salesmanship, Dylan White has been officially cleared by the WBC. Yay, which means bullshit, nothing. UCAD has still not deliberated and still not made their determination on Dylan White's case. And because UCAD is not under the Ali Act, not under any sort of the Professional Boxing Safety Act of 1996 in the U.S., he's not suspended, and they don't do temporary suspensions. So Dylan White is free to fight anywhere because he's not temporarily suspended. That's how you can get away with going to Saudi Arabia and having to fight there. That's how you can get away with kind of any fight, because UCAD doesn't view this time period in the same way that the U.S. does. For example, the Chavez temporary suspension that's been on hold. Just want to point that out, a little factoid for people trying to understand the differences. Why can Dylan White go and fight in Saudi Arabia, and that's not much of an issue, but Chavez going to Arizona is an issue? Just the laws that these two respective fighters are under are vastly different. The Professional Boxing Safety Act of 1996 made it so where commissions cannot license anyone that is under suspension for any reason, whether it be medical or drug or anything of that nature. You just can't license a fighter. And that got ratified again, obviously in 1999 with the Ali Act, but that is completely void in the UK legal system. There's no equivalent to that there. And again, UCAD and the British Boxing Board Control do not do temporary suspensions. That's how Tyson Fury even was able to fight Vladimir Klitschko in Germany, because he popped for, I think it was the Christian Hammer fight, 9 months before, let's say. So the fight before Klitschko, he popped. And the entire time, UCAD was deliberating on the case, but he was allowed to fight in Germany. But the WBC has cleared him, so he's back in the rankings. Doesn't really mean much, obviously, because they've already ruled that Tyson Fury is now the mandatory, and Dylan White has to wait till 2021. But regardless, I think for all the Dylan White hardcore fanboys out there, you guys can rally around this piece of news, which largely means nothing, because your system over there largely doesn't punish people in this nature.
Which is also a win for Dillian White because if AJ wins, he'll just fight AJ. And that will be in the UK, and it'll be a bigger purse, I would think, than fighting Wilder in the US. So it's not really that big a deal. It's a setback, but
oh yeah, the whole mandatory thing is not a big deal because he has the AJ rematch in his back pocket at all times.
Which I think he wins that fight too, by the way. So.
And Matthew D'Souza saying UCAD cleared him. No, they did not. They allowed him to fight on that day. That does not mean he's not going to face a suspension. Like, literally, I just explained another heavyweight that had this same exact case, Tyson Fury. Guess what? He got suspended eventually. It just so happens it's retroactive because that's how UCAD usually handles the situations. They have these retroactive suspensions because they don't do temporary suspensions. You may think that's the right way to go about it, but that's what it is. He is not cleared. He was allowed to fight. That is significantly different. Please stop listening to his promoter speak about this because his promoter has a monetary agenda to make sure you don't know about this, that you don't care about this, and that you think it's something else. Like, this is propaganda like 101, I feel like. So, come on, Matthew. Do better in the chat. Be smarter out there. But anyways, that's about it for the White news. Gary, any other thoughts about Dun White?
No, not really. I mean, again, he's going to get away pretty much scot-free. He's going to fight twice this year. And then, I mean, I think he fights Joshua regardless of if Joshua wins or loses. I mean, it's a bigger fight if he wins, but I think the fight happens either way. So he's not really – he got nothing. And this is his second time failing a test. He should be done. He should not be allowed to fight again. But he'll get nothing instead, and he'll just fight AJ instead of Wilder.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't think he should be barred from boxing ever again. Like, I don't agree with that. But hey, that's not the the conversation we're really having here as a whole. Not me and you per se, but the community, the industry as a whole when it comes to Dillian White's case. Dillian White's case is primarily about UCAD's procedures, UCAD's system that is primarily not transparent, that is, in a way, fighter friendly because it is, to be honest, but to maybe past the point where it makes sense with the current paradigm. Like, if the U.S. system was like UCAD, where fighters, let's say they pop, but there's a due process and they're allowed to continue their career and continue working and making money and making a living in the meantime while that due process happens, I'm completely kind of in favor of that, to be honest. But that's not the paradigm we live in. That's not the standard that we hold all of combat sports to. We hold all of combat sports to a very strict WADA implemented policy. Okay? And UCAD, being a WADA signatory, is acting in ways that other WADA signatories do not act. And that is perhaps the issue, that there's this inconsistency with the implementation of the WADA code by either the commissions or USADA or UCAD and British Boxing Board Control. And that inconsistency is an issue when, technically speaking, they're under the same code.
I want to ask you this, and I'm going to make you king of combat sports for a day.
Ooh.
It's you, and there's no checks on your power. What would be your punishment for a guy that's failed a second test?
I think no matter what, I think there needs to be some aspect of collective bargaining with fighters. If I'm king of the sport, like, I think fighters do deserve some negotiation power in the room, whether it's PD regulation, whether it's contract discussions, whether it's standardization of medical procedures and licensing. Fighters deserve a seat at the table in that discussion. That's just how I view a lot of things. I think it should be kind of, I'll be honest, lenient. And I also think that the entire WADA code needs an overhaul. I think our perception of certain PEDs needs to be changed as well. I think there's a huge medical aspect to these performance-enhancing drugs that are used for civilians all the time.
The first time he failed, though, he failed for an anabolic steroid, didn't he?
No. You're talking about just 2 times, period.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Dillian White's case right now. I'm talking in general right now, to be honest. I'll get to Dillian White's case maybe specifically if you want. But generally speaking, if I'm running the gambit, if I'm running the industry, and I'm setting up how our regulatory system works for PDs, I'm rehauling the entire categories and code for WADA, because there's a lot of stuff in there that's been medically proven to not be even performance enhancing. And even if it is, quote, performance enhancing, there's a huge medical benefit to it that is being ignored for the sake of fairness that I really don't think is even there. And I think it's kind of a pointless, arbitrary battle to have. And plus, I also think that rigorously going after fighters is not the way to shrink PD use. You go after the production company, so to speak. You go after the mass producers of PEDs, because there are mass producers. There are significant, huge laboratories around the world that do produce PEDs for athletes around the world. Go after that. I would really put most of the funding for this sort of regulatory body to that instead of testing fighters. But I would obviously have some sort of random drug testing protocol that is adherent and in agreement with fighters. And that second pop, probably, let's say, a year, to be honest. I think first pop is 6 months. But then again, it's so hard to think about a different paradigm with, let's say, certain PEDs are 100% allowed due to injuries, right? Like you blew out your knee, blew out your shoulder. You're allowed to take a small amount of medical prescribed HGH or something like that to heal up your wounds, or injuries. I would be largely in favor of that, to be honest. I know that's kind of...
I'd be in favor of taking all forms of HGA, tested forms of HGA, off the list, because there's no medical downside. There's only upside. It's like medical marijuana. Well, we can't have this, but why not? Right? It doesn't make any sense. It's not bad for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
No medical downside. So why can't I take this?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why you can't take things like HGH, right? We can all take it, and it's not going to cause anyone cancer. It's not going to give anyone a heart attack. So why can't we take it? I agree with you. There are things on the banned substance list that need to come off the list.
Absolutely.
But to me, if someone pops for an anabolic steroid, they're not trying to recover. They're not trying to heal an injury. They're trying to cheat. They're trying to get an unfair advantage, right? And I said, in baseball, that's fine. Go ahead, do it. You're not hurting anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you'll grow 6 arms or something and whatever, but you're not hurting anyone. No one's getting physically hurt by you taking steroids. And I don't want to hear the argument with, well, then everyone has to take it. I was a pretty good high school baseball player. If I would have taken steroids my whole life, I'd never be a major league baseball player. Just not good enough, right? So I don't like that argument. It's like, well, then you're going to have high school. No, high school kids are not going to play in the major leagues. I can't hit a ball 450 feet, so I'm not going to play in the major leagues.
There is no scientific or medical data out there that proves that taking any performance-enhancing drug will give you superhuman capabilities. Does it increase training time? Does it increase respiratory abilities? Maybe, and in very small ways. I mean, for most people, if you ask them that have really taken PDs, that have really gone down that way, what they would say is that it just helps you in training. It helps you train longer. It helps you get more reps in. That is the main advantage of taking PEDs. It gives you more reps. If you are taking it for that unfair advantage, right? Not taking it for, let's say, an injury or something like that, and then you're not supposed to, different thing. But if you're taking PEDs specifically to get unfair advantage, you're doing it to just get more reps in. Train 3 times a day instead of 2 times a day. Do 50 pull-ups instead of 25 pull-ups, whatever that is. But
it's a benefit, but it's not going to take an ordinary athlete and make him a professional athlete. But to think that is ridiculous.
And on top of it, to the statement that baseball. Oh, Gary just went away. Gary, come back. I'll keep talking. Just Gary's not here. But there's Gary. Gary, well, hi.
I don't know. It kicked me out real quick.
It's Gary. It's okay. Well, what I was gonna say is that the common phrase I've heard, when this is like boxing, people get punched in the face. You can't have people taking any PEDs and getting punched in the face. But there's also no real proof that taking PEDs increases punching power beyond human capabilities. Like the whole Ivan Drago getting your PSI up to 80,000 or whatever it was, right? That's not reality. That is Cold War era U.S. talking points about the big bad Soviet Union having superhumans and stuff like that. That's what it is. That's what a lot of it comes from, is the 1960s and 70s, that Cold War worry about athletes being superhuman in the Olympics and then soldiers being superhuman, when really U.S. athletes were also taking PEDs around the same time.
Like, always interesting. Like in Rocky IV, they portray the American as the little guy underdog. In what world, in the last 100 years, has America been the small little guy underdog in anything?
The best part is, though, is that it does show Ivan Drago taking PEDs, when we know for a fact Stallone to this day is taking PEDs up the fucking ass, bro. So it is just insane. And then again, like, obviously in the Cold War, the U.S. had like 6 times the amount of nuclear warheads. I mean, who cares, right? But besides the point, though. I think, digressing, to the PED regulatory system needs a complete overhaul. And back to Dylan White's case, that's why I've always tried to make the argument not necessarily about Dylan White, because the issue isn't about Dylan White. It's the inconsistency in PED regulation worldwide, and on top of that, the inconsistency in the public standard for PED regulation, because there is an inconsistency in certain people and how fans refer to certain fighters that popped and versus others that have. There is a massive difference. I mean, I can almost guarantee you the Matchroom fans that bitch about us talking about Joe Miller don't say a goddamn thing about Alexander Povetkin fighting on the Matchroom card in a week, for example, right? There is an inconsistency in perception, an inconsistency in just regulation, period. And that's the main issue that I think we need to address. And whether or not UCAD system is inherently wrong is a separate topic. I think it is wrong because it's inconsistent with the sort of set policies that we have and set standards we have as a industry, because it is different than the mass form of boxing, the mass industry of boxing. But that's beside the point of whether I think it is morally the better system for PED regulation. That's beside the point. But that was a long rant. Sorry, guys. You know how I get with PED regulation. I get off tangents. But digressing, Gary, any other thoughts on Dylan White and PED regulation?
No, I mean, I think we covered that sufficiently.
Yeah, a lot. I did not plan that. Moving on, though, to news that is fucking crazy. Oh, my God. The Plus main event. I love how... I don't love it. I'm being sarcastic when I say that. But how ESPN Plus is now called The Plus, I fucking hate that. I think that's the corniest name for a streaming app. That's almost as bad as DAZN.
Well, like they called it the Deuce when ESPN2 came out when you were...
Yes. Oh, God.
And then you had the Ocho, which covered dodgeball.
Yeah. Yes.
And now you have the Plus. It's just, that's their thing.
Yes.
Like, first of all, and I have the app, and I'm not going to get rid of it, and it's $5 a month. But the UI, like, I feel like me and you could make a better app in our garage, right? Like, that thing is such a piece of garbage. Now, the content's okay, but
so
like,
bad.
That app sucks. Like, so it should have a crappy name too. Just saying.
Great point, Gary. No, that is a good point. You're right, though. It's a crappy app. It's a crappy sort of UI. Give it a crappy nickname. Who gives a shit? It's lucky it's $5 a month.
It ain't worth $6. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it isn't. No, it's not. No, you're right about that. It's not. If it was $7.99 a month, I'm like, oh, that's a little bit too much there, ESPN Plus. But then they have the UFC content. I don't know. Because if you're purely a boxing fan, it's definitely not worth $7.99 a month. If you're a combat sports fan, it might be worth it. But that's beside the point. Digressing.
It's got some soccer on it too. I have some friends from the other side.
Yes.
For the soccer. I mean, I don't watch soccer.
Who gives a shit? Football. Fuck that. I'm just kidding, UK fans. Joking, trolling you. Before I get angry chats or comments. I will say this, though. For Disney Plus, or Disney, the parent company of ESPN and ABC, obviously, Disney Plus is truly a great user interface. It is so simple. It kind of looks like DAZN's interface as well, to be honest. And for ESPN Plus to just have the complete antithesis of user-friendliness that the Disney Plus app has makes no sense to me. Like, I truly don't understand it.
Any sense at all. It's right. It's like Sevi saying, we're going to make the Silverado the best truck ever. But the Excursion, no, what's Chevy's midsize SUV?
Don't ask me.
Whatever. Yeah, we're not going to put any effort into that. That's whatever comes out of the factory, that's fine. But the Silverado, that's got to be the greatest thing in the world. I don't understand how one app can be so good, and the same company has an app that is absolutely awful. Like that app sucks. Like I can't believe Disney, with all their trillions of dollars, would put their name on something that bad. Like when it first came out, I said, okay, this will get better like next week.
It hasn't. It never got better.
It's awful.
It never got better at all. It's been the same shitty ass user interface the entire time. But then again, like the ESPN.com, like just overall, it's always been a shitty website, to be honest. Like it's never
gotten used to it because you've used it for so long, but it's not good. It's not a user-friendly website.
No, it's not. I don't know how it became the #1 world leader in sports
Why
other than just being
Squarespace. Like just get a Squarespace for it. So seriously, like that's better than what they have. Or get a WordPress. Just get a website that's friggin' usable.
But digressing back to what we're talking about, on the plus tomorrow, Oscar Valdez weighed in at 129.8.
I got one more question.
Oh,
right.
okay.
Who looked at that app and said, that's the winner? Like, what lost? Like, what was the option? Said, that's not so good. We're going to go with this one. What lost?
I'm pretty sure it's John Skipper, and that's why he got fired and went to DAZN. But digressing. Oscar Valdez weighed at 129.8 pounds, and his opponent, Andreas Gutierrez, weighed in at 141 pounds. 11 pounds over the limit. Oh, my God. The fight is officially off as well, and Bob Arum had this to say about the situation, and it's Bob Arum, so.
I mean, we're throwing him out of the hotel. Oh my God! This is absolutely. I mean, I've seen a guy 2-3 pounds overweight.
Let me play it again.
I mean, we're throwing him out of the hotel. Oh my God! This is absolutely. I mean, I've seen a guy 2-3 pounds overweight. That's still unprofessional. To come in 11 pounds overweight is a fucking disgrace.
Is this the worst?
It's great.
Worst example.
I've never seen anything like it.
Why would he even show up?
Why would? Well, he showed up at the last minute. You know, I don't know. But this, I mean, it's disgraceful. But again, we're going to try to talk to Lopez, Adam Lopez, good fighter, and pay his opponent off, and have Lopez take the fight.
So Adam Lopez looks like he's going to try to jump in here against Oscar Valdez. Actually, kind of a better matchup actually than Andreas Gutierrez, surprisingly, right? Like I would say Adam Lopez is a better name and better fighter than Andreas Gutierrez, but digressing. Gary, thoughts on Gutierrez missing weight by 11 pounds, and Bob Arum wanting to kick him out of the hotel, and Adam Lopez stepping in?
Why would you pay for him to stay in that hotel? Look, this is a guy that fought at featherweight not that long ago against Abner Mares. He fought at 130 as recently as this summer. So for him to come over 11 pounds, he doesn't want the fight. It's that simple. He didn't miss it by a pound or two because he just can't make it anymore. He didn't want to make it, right? He had no interest in making it. So that means you don't want to fight. If you don't want to fight, why am I housing you? Why am I giving you room and board? Get out. You don't want to fight, that's fine. You wasted everyone's time. Actually, you owe me money because I already put your name on the poster. I already publicized this. You owe me money. You should have told me this day one you didn't want the fight. And this is a guy, he's only 26, but he's been around. Like, he fought on Golden Boy cards before. Like, it's a thing we've seen. This is, so unprofessional. It's ridiculous. You didn't even attempt to make weight. Like, you don't want the fight. Fine. You should have just told us that. Or 2 weeks ago, you said, no, what? This weight's not coming off. I can't take the fight. Okay, fine. You would have given us 2 weeks to find another opponent. But to do this, I think not only you get kicked out of the hotel room, I'm suing you.
Knowing Bob Arum, you might do that. Bob Arum's petty like that. Gary, first off, that is an A+ rant there. Okay, I'm shedding a tear right there. Okay, like anytime one of my co-hosts guys rants, even close to me. It's a proud moment, man. It's a proud moment. And that was a good rant. And I agree entirely. I'm trying to think if I've seen anything quite like this, to be honest. Like a guy missing by 11 pounds. I've seen close to it. I think guys missed like by 8 pounds, 9. I've seen close. 11 pounds is a lot. It's a lot of weight to miss. And like you said, Gary, clearly there wasn't a real attempt. Clearly he was eating on Thanksgiving and didn't give a fuck, right? Clearly didn't care. And if you're not going to fight on someone's car, if you're not going to make the contracted weight, then why would you get room and board and all that stuff? Why would you get any sort of monetary compensation? Like you said, you've actually cost me money. I completely understand that, and I largely agree with it. But God damn, it's so funny, man. Oscar Valdez cannot catch a break to save his life, man. That guy's had such a weird career. His 130 run's going to be just so odd. It's going to be like this, and he's going to fight Pacquiao, and he's going to get just trashed, and he's going to retire. But anyway, speaking of someone that's surprisingly not retired, because I thought this person retired.
We get into Adam Lopez a little bit and what you think of that fight, because
Oh yeah, sure.
It's a decent fighter.
It is.
My concern is he lost to Stephen Fulton back on a card early in their career. That's a 122 pounder. That's concerning to me. But like,
Valdez isn't that big though. That's that's not too. If he was fighting, let's say, Miguel Pacquiao, a real 130 pounder that could move up to 135 or 140 even, then I would be a little bit more concerned about the size disadvantage. But Valdez is a really small guy. First off, he's really short for the division. Even at 126, he was a short guy for the division. It wasn't like he was a tall guy like a Leo Santa Cruz or even a Gary Russell Jr. He was always a small guy. So I'm not as concerned, but it's definitely going to be a factor that Valdez is going to be slightly bigger than him, obviously. Valdez should obviously have the heavier pop and punching power, better combination puncher as well. Like, Valdez should win this one. Adam Lopez is decent, has good fundamentals, but he's clearly that, like, domestic level fighter of the U.S., right? Like, he's that guy. He is not a guy that's really going to beat anyone above a club level fighter, in my opinion. And while I do criticize Valdez relentlessly, he is far better than club level fighter. Like, I have to admit that. Like, Valdez is a top 10 guy at 130 or 126. He may not be the guy to really beat any of the champions, but I still think he's a top 10 caliber fighter. Adam Lopez is not.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is there's probably not that much difference between Lopez and Gutierrez.
No.
Gutierrez is a little bit more experienced in fights and in tough fights, but like Lopez is probably the better classic boxer.
Yes.
So, I mean, look, I think I was really going to test him that much, but I don't think you'll lose much in having Adam Lopez fight him. Like, I don't think there's, like, oh, Gutierrez was going to give him that work and Lopez is going to get blown. I think both guys will lose, and there's not much difference. Like, if Lopez fought Gutierrez and Gutierrez went through the effort of making the weight, I don't know who wins that fight.
Really?
Who do you think wins?
If, like, Lopez and Gutierrez fought, I'd pick Lopez.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, so, like, I don't have any problem with Lopez. I mean, for a fight taken on zero notice, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good opponent.
The good thing was that he was on the card already. So that just means that he just had to switch opponents on short notice, but he was already in camp, already training.
This is something I want to address. Like, if Lopez wasn't on that card and they didn't have another 130-pounder ready to go, he would lose his payday, which is like the same reason Brandon Figueroa took the fight. There needs to be some type of insurance policy where maybe I don't get paid my whole purse, but I get a 60 or 70% cut of my purse. That way I have a real decision to make, right? Like, Brandon Figueroa was set to make $250,000 in that fight, disclosed purse. Now you got a choice. Fight a guy who's 4.5 pounds over or go through that entire training camp for nothing. Well, I'll take the fight.
Of course, yeah.
I would have said to you, okay, you can't get $250, but we're going to cut you 2/3 of your purse. So you're going to get $175,000 for not fighting or $250 for fighting him. What do you want to do? Now there's a real decision to be made. But like when you say you get zero for your entire, let's say 8-week camp, you get absolutely nothing, no fault of your own. Or you have to fight a guy who didn't bother to make the weight, who's going to have a functional weight advantage over you and an endurance advantage because he didn't bother to cut weight. What do you want to do? Like, I had to take the fight because I want the money. That's what I trained for. So that there needs to be some kind of insurance program put in place where you still get paid X percentage and a decent percentage of your purse. I would say somewhere between 60 and 70% of your purse if the other guy misses weight by more than a pound.
I think that's a wonderful idea, to be honest, Gary. Like, I've always thought like there should be more safety nets for fighters for occasions of fighters not making the fight, whatever it may be, and they make weight, they show up, they're there, they're ready to work, and they just simply can't. There's no, step-in fighter. There's nothing there to be had. They should be able to go back with some aspect of their purse because.
Right. And the guy that misses weight knows that he's probably, if you miss weight by 4 pounds, 11, forget it. Gutierrez is never going to work again either way because that's ridiculous. But Fortuna misses weight a lot. Like, if I have to pay the other guy for you not fighting, you're not working with me again because you just cost me money. So there's going to be a natural incentive for that guy to say, look, I got to make the weight. You know what I'm saying? Like, Paul Butler didn't make the weight against Manny Rodriguez. He missed about 2.5 or 3 pounds, which at that weight class is a little bit, that's considerable.
That's significant, yeah.
The advantage. Like, Manny's the better fighter. I'm going to take my natural advantage of being bigger. Like, that's nonsense. Like, it's make the weight. Be a professional. Or if not, you know what I'm saying? Like, something's got to be done. You can't have guys, and Mayweather did it too against Marquez. That was at a 144 catchweight. Mayweather's like, I'm not going to come in at 144. I'm just going to come in at 146. Like, you got to make the weight. Like, missing it by 4 pounds is ridiculous. Missing it by 11 pounds, you're never going to work again. That's so 11 pounds. Man. He didn't make the 140 limit.
I just got to say this. Shout out to Gutierrez because this is definitely livened up boxing Twitter on a very slow Friday. Let's be honest.
They say, if you're going to get caught stealing from work, don't get caught stealing $20 from the register. Steal big, right? Make it worth your while getting fired. If you're going to miss weight, don't miss it by a pound. Miss it by 11, I guess, right? Like, don't try to cut the weight, drain yourself, not enjoy yourself, and then miss weight. Just don't even try. Just eat Thanksgiving dinner, stuff yourself all pumpkin pie, and just miss the weight by 11 pounds.
And just before we get to the other topic I was going to say, just because we're on the topic of missing weight, Luis Nery, who missed weight, and obviously this fight with Manny Rodriguez was canceled because Rodriguez did not accept
by 1 pound, right?
What?
He missed it by 1 pound.
Yeah, 1 pound, not 11 pounds, yes. But he did miss weight. The fight was canceled. He has been removed as the WBC Bantamweight Mandatory Challenge has been removed from the rankings. Not really a surprise. And obviously also in line with him moving up to 122 because he's been talking about moving to 122 now. So it looks like we're never going to get the Nery Inoue fight at 118, but it probably just happens at 122, let's be honest. Gary, thoughts on Nery being removed from the WBC's mandatory challengers status at bantamweight?
It's a non-issue because he was going to 122 anyway, which is great because now we get Nery versus my boy.
Navarrete?
Brandon Figueroa. You not into that fight?
No, it's a great fight. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's the best fight in the division.
It's easily made. It's easily made.
It's a good fight, great fight, even because just from entertainment value, great fight.
It's a headline, right? It's a main event fight.
Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. It's a really great fight, but it's not like if I had to pick a fight to make in that division, it's not that one.
But you want Roman versus who? I know you like Roman, so you want Roman versus Nery? Is that the fight you want?
No. Nery hasn't gone to 122 yet, so he's not even in the equation yet, really, for me. Like, yes, he is because he's a name, he's talented, like he will be, but not really. I want Roman Navarrete. Like, Roman Navarrete would be a fight that is fight of the year, that is a hardcore fight, and plus it's DAZN and Top Rank and ESPN working together, so I'm in favor of that too.
Nery takes a little fight at 122 against a nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Figueroa. He fights Figueroa.
Yeah.
Ever since we now have, or do we get like Rigo, Luis Nery? Like that's an option as well. So there's some fun fights at 122. To be honest, I'm excited for any of those pairings. To be completely honest, like I know I said I would prefer other ones, but obviously Figueroa, Nery, Rigo, Nery Roman, Nery Doheny. Like you literally match up any of these names with each other. They're great. They're great fights. They're great boxing talents. They're great skills can be displayed. And all those guys are exciting fighters too. Like that's the one thing that 122 has. There's not really a stinker amongst them in terms of like fighting style per se, right? Like Tevin Farmer at 130 isn't the most exciting guy comparative to Miguel Berchelt, Leo Santa Cruz, Oscar Valdez, and others, right? At 122, there's literally no one like that. That is a more of a methodical boxer that it will negate entertainment and offense. Everyone's an offensive, dynamic fighter. That means we have fight of the year potentials all over the place at 122.
You're going to get Neary versus Seha, and then you're going to get Neary versus Figueroa. That's what they're going to do.
Oh, I could see that. I would be shocked if they just run straight to the Figueroa Seha rematch. That'd be atypical of boxing prospects on the way up. If they have a tough fight, they usually just keep going. They don't worry about the rematch per se. But
my boy Mario, don't even bother with the rematch. I mean, I would like to see it because I would like to see Barrios beat him. But, like, why fight Akhmadov again? Like, beating Akhmadov is going to do what for you?
I heard from a little bird that that fight's not going to happen anyway, so don't worry about it.
No, but I'm saying, like, yeah, it doesn't matter. But, like, where's the upside in that anyway? Right? Like, you beat Akhmadov. What are you, a star now? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's only upside for the hardcores and
right.
Like their perception of you, which I think a lot of boxers don't really care that much about, to be honest. They care more about trying to grab that casual fan base, and they don't know about Akhmadov. They don't care about that matchup.
Barrios is being honored at Spurs games. He's getting awards from the mayors. His high school retired his number, which is weird because he didn't even have a number because he's a boxer. Too much about what super duper hardcore hipster geeksters think of him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that important to me.
Agreed. And speaking of rematches, Luke Campbell is in negotiations for a rematch with Jorge Linares for early February. I like this fight. Now, I will say this. This does seem like a little bit of a tune-up for Luke Campbell at this point in time. You know, like, there was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, this rematch would be far more competitive in my mind. But at this point in time, Luke Campbell should win this one within 8 rounds or so, right? Like, this should be a relatively easier fight for Luke Campbell. Like, I don't expect him to get knocked down. I don't expect him to really even lose a round here against Linares. Linares has been inactive, has been taking L's. This does seem like, hey, let's go feast on this carcass that is still a little bit warm. There's still some food there for you, Luke Campbell. And plus he gets revenge against his other loss in his career. So I don't see why not do this, but I definitely see why they would do this and why it's a calculated rematch for Matchroom and Luke Campbell. But I like the fight. I will say that. Just give the caveat of I know why they're doing the rematch in 2020. We all know why.
I get it too, and it's fine.
Yes.
It's just I don't know. It's like a little petty. Obviously, Campbell's going to pick him apart. Campbell by cuts after 7. That's my prediction. Campbell stops him on cuts after 7.
I like that.
And it's one-sided, and he beats him up because Linares is shot. And I guess it's just Campbell probably thinks he won the first fight. Like, it was close enough.
Mm-hmm.
Even though HBO kept telling me how good Linares looked. Like, Linares looked phenomenal in this fight. Like, I don't know. I kind of think Campbell's winning a lot of these rounds. But the HBO bandwagon was so on Linares that fight. Like, it didn't make any sense. Like, this isn't an even fight. I think I had Linares by a point, but it was that close. Again, exactly revenge, beat him up, stop him on cuts, and then go on. And then he could fight somebody like a Hekatana Hara.
You know, with Joe Cordina at 130 now, because obviously he's fighting Tanakio or whatever, the guy that beat Jordan Gill.
Yeah.
Which was awesome as well. Another sort of Cancio-like performance. I really wanted that Cordina-Tanahara fight, and now I'm not going to get it because they're different divisions now. So maybe
Hara just moved up from 30 not that long ago. So let's do it at 133.
That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, Garrett. We're never going to get that fight where we can really test our fandoms.
They're young enough with.
Oh, we're probably going to get it. I'm being hyperbolic, of course, but we're not going to get it anytime soon. So now I got to think about what's the next fight for Tanahara that I'm going to say, like, that's the fight I want that will make you upset and, like, I control you with for another year. Because obviously, like, at 147, I'm going to pick Rashidi Ellis over Virgil Ortiz.
But you'll be wrong. And I like Rashidi Ellis, but you'll be wrong about that.
I won't be wrong. It's okay, though, Gary. I won't be wrong. But digressing, I got to pick the guy at 135 now because, like, Haney is too obvious to pick Haney against Tanahara, right? Because Tanahara ducked him already.
It depends on how. Haney is too athletic for him, but Haney also gets too comfortable in there, and he just wants to jab. If Tanahara is a better jabber, he's a better fundamental boxer. Look, Devin Haney could go in there and use his athleticism and fight him on the inside and blow him away with his speed. He could do that. But he could also get comfortable and box from the outside and lose too many rounds. Because if it's a battle of jabs, Tanahara wins.
Who wins? Ryan Garcia versus Hector Tanahara.
Tanahara.
That might be my one. That might be the fight that I rally around next.
Garcia ducked that work. He wanted to fight Duno instead.
Well, Duno was the guy that his own promoter said he was scared of. So, like, I don't give Ryan Garcia any flack for picking Duno, who really didn't deserve that matchup. Like, I'll be honest, like, Duno was a step below Jason Velez, I would say, right?
Yeah.
And so I get why he took that fight, but looking back on it, man, that he should have won that fight, and clearly he did in like the first 30 seconds. Yeah, he's knocking out Tanahara. Ryan Garcia all the way now.
I'm not knocking him out.
Easy.
Tanahara's a master boxer. I mean, again, he doesn't have any pop. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's a master.
Master.
He's a master craftsman at his craft.
Oh my god,
excellent.
Yo, he's like Adam Lopez.
Different than Luke Campbell. No.
No. I'll be honest. I will say this. I think Tanahara is far closer to a Adam Lopez than a Luke Campbell.
What does Luke Campbell do that blows you away?
Nothing that much. But I will say this. Athletically speaking, he's a far more of a ready-made fighter for the top-level guys because of his athleticism.
He also had a much, he's physically more developed. Tanahara's 22. How old is Luke Campbell? 29, 28?
I don't know how old he is, actually. He looks young, though. Who knows? He could be like 26. He could be one of those young guys. I'll look it up right now. It's a slow day today.
Obviously, he's an Olympian. He had a long amateur career, and now he's been pro for a while. I'm going to say he's 28.
Yeah, but you don't need to be an Olympian to have a long amateur career. Like, look at Deontay Wilder and AJ. Like, they both had, like, combined only, like, 60 or 70 amateur fights.
Yeah, but that's heavyweights. That's...
Good point. No, you're right. Heavyweight's different, especially in the amateurs. It's even more so in the amateurs. He is 32.
32.
Wow. Okay. No, he's older than I expected. No, you're right. Then he has 10 years on his side compared to Tanahara. It's a really bad comparison to make. I shouldn't be comparing them.
I would never expect he was that old. He turned pro after 2012. Right?
Think about this. He's very close to Rob's age.
No, I mean
he's only 8 years away from Rob's age.
Rob saying he's 40 is like when Regis Philbin said he was 47. It's like, you're not 40. You're 54.
You're 54. I saw if Rob listens back to this. Anyways.
Years older than me. I don't stop with the old jokes. Like he's only 4 years older than me.
And you guys look exactly the same, except one of you has hair.
Oh, I got a little bit of gray. He's completely gray, but he's almost totally bald too.
Yeah, so, but that's probably the reason why. I mean, like except for the hair, like you guys look around the same age.
I'm much better looking.
I'm not going to get into this debate. I don't care. No matter what, me and Foo are better looking than you guys combined, since we're the young guys. Actually, Foo's pretty old too. Foo's like
older than me too. Foo's he's almost Rob's age. I think he's 38 or 39. He's older than me. He's got a better beard. I'll give him that, but that's about it.
You haven't met Fern Goli, right? Fernando, who long time West Coast listener, right? The dude's like 31 years old. He legit looks my age, if not younger. And it always throws me off. Shout out to Fernando, who's listening right now. Fern Goli. I think he was recently in El Salvador on vacation. Hope you had a good time, man. But anyways, digressing. I think that's it for the show, Gary. I'll be honest, there's no other news. Any other topics you want to discuss? Any other random things you want to debate? Pacquiao, Garcia, pound for pound? I don't know, anything. I mean, do you want to, or you want to just head out of here?
I think we're done, right? I mean, I don't have anything at the top of my head.
Me neither. It's a slow Boxing Day, I'll be honest. You know, we're lucky to get this much news. But digressing, guys, hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. Obviously, you can find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, on all platforms on social media. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio to help support the channel in any financial way. No live fight chats tomorrow, but most likely a immediate reaction or post-fight show for something like the Monaco and the Tete Casamora fight. I might do like a midday post-fight show of those fights, maybe, and just skip the top-ranked card because top-ranked card's not good at all. But the Monaco card is pretty decent, and I really like the Tete Casamora fight, so I might do a show like 4 p.m., 3 p.m. tomorrow my time, whenever those fights are over. I'll keep you, Gary, and obviously in contact and in touch about that. But digressing, Gary, final thoughts. What's up?
If you miss weight by 11 pounds, then you owe the promoter money. That's how I see it. Find me on all forms of social media at 3D Boxing. Good show today, Matt.
Yeah, not a lot to discuss, man, but we did it. We did it. And no Rob again. Shots at Rob. Ducking the show.
He's at Mom's house with the. What is it with the Brits and their usage of the letter U? Like favorite and color and mom. Like, why do they put U's in words unnecessarily?
I bet it comes from one of their root languages of English that didn't translate over to the colonies. It must be more of like an Anglo-Saxon variation of the English language that has U in it or something like that. That's what I would assume, right? I forget what's the term? Is it etymology? Like there's a term.
Etymology is the study of language.
I would assume there's something there that in all of the, because a lot of people don't know that UK is a melting pot of languages. You have Celtic languages, you have Anglo-Saxon languages, you have Germanic languages, you have obviously Latin languages, Roman language, Latin itself was there. And because of that, the English language changed rapidly for 300, 400 years. So I'm not surprised if the colonies got one version of it and the British Isles kept a different version. But I would have to go on Wikipedia and look at the etymology and figure that one out.
Which, if you speak another language, you understand how idiotic and nonsensical the English language is. It doesn't make any sense. There's no rhyme or reason for any of it. That's how I'm always shocked that people who speak another language first learn how to speak English.
Well, luckily for them.
Honestly, it's shocking.
Luckily, in Europe and Asia, it's kind of mandatory most of the time. The English is for here, we take Spanish, right? That's the language class most people take in school is Spanish. Yeah. Over there, it's English. So that's usually what it is.
I took Latin. What a mistake that was.
I took French. It served me well when I went to Paris that one time when I was 17. That's about it. But digressing, guys, have a great day, great night, wherever you are. I hope you guys had a great holiday yesterday. Peace.
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.